listening to the Scoop Slam Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scoop Slam Podcast. We are back another week on the road to WrestleMania, and we've got a little bit more of the WrestleMania Madness bracket to break down. The Elite Eight is upon us, and so by the end of this episode, you're going to know the final four for next week's episode, and we will also crown our champion next week, as well as jam-packed. We got Dynamite, Raw, SmackDown to break down, a very eventful Raw, and a lot of things finally heated up going into WrestleMania. That's what we've been clamoring for. And we got some AEW Dynasty predictions at the end. But as always, on the other end of the line, the historian of the Scoop Slam Podcast, he's got a lot of opinions, and he's ready to rip a couple people to shreds today. It's Ryan.
Yo, Micah, we finally ate this week. Finally. Triple H finally cooked us a meal. How do you feel?
I can't see my ribs anymore, man.
Okay, all right. Getting a little something. We're heating up.
Yeah, they brought out the appetizer finally. Now I need, let me get another week. That'll be the meal, and then next week, then we got WrestleMania. That's the dessert.
Okay, where does Dynasty fit in all this?
That's
the bathroom break.
That's that extra glass of water they bring you even when you get soda or whatever. It's a palate cleanser.
Okay, all right.
But if you have tuned into the last couple episodes, you know we've been doing for March, and since there was a lack of content to be made, we've got our WrestleMania Madness bracket. So we've been breaking down the top 32 WrestleManias. If you haven't listened to the past two, go catch those, or go to our Instagram, Twitter. You can find the updated bracket. So today we've got the Elite Eight, Ryan, and I'm actually going to start from the bottom up this time, since we've been going from top seed down. But that way things are just a little fresh. So for the first matchup for the WrestleMania Madness bracket, the third seeded, I should say, WrestleMania 21 versus the 11th seeded WrestleMania 39.
Yeah, Micah, this one was pretty easy for me. By the way, before we start this, I split these into 4 different categories for each round. So we're going to grade this on star power, WrestleMania moments, match quality, and the main event. So we just don't repeat ourselves over and over. I mean, we've been doing it for 2 straight weeks. Kind of booked ourselves into a corner here because we got a lot to talk about today. So I'm trying to get through this as quick as possible. WrestleMania 21 versus WrestleMania 39. Star power, head-to-head, Micah. I think the edge here goes to WrestleMania 21. I mean, up and down the card, you had Ray, Eddie, Edge, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Batista, John Cena. This is a who's of wrestling over the last 20 years. Don't you agree?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, WrestleMania 39, it had the star power, but maybe it's a little too early to grade it against the star power WrestleMania 21. So, yeah, star power, we're going WrestleMania 21. And as far as WrestleMania moments, man, WrestleMania 39 was jam-packed with moments. It had Randy, RKO, and Ice Show Speed, Ray taking the belt off, and finally, whooping Dom in the corner. I don't know if you remember that moment.
Oh, yeah. Beating his kids like he said he was going to do.
Beating his kids. Yeah, the prophecy fulfilled. Yet Shano tearing his quad in a very hilarious moment, probably all for the wrong reasons, and then Snoop having an impromptu match with Miz. Just great stuff all the way around. Sammy and KO finally winning the big one. And, of course, a very controversial Roman shocking the world at that WrestleMania, which in hindsight maybe was the right decision. WrestleMania 39 getting the edge there. Match quality-wise, WrestleMania 39 wins this again. Triple threat match with Drew, Gunther, and Sheamus. Great stuff. Rhea, Charlotte. Didn't really have a lot of hype going into it, but they delivered as far as match quality goes. might be the greatest women's match WrestleMania history when it's all said and done. Dom versus Ray was really good. Didn't that win your match of the year, Micah?
It was up there for sure. I don't
It was
remember
up
if it
there,
won
yeah.
match of the year.
But Usos versus Sammy and KO, still my favorite match of that year. So yeah, match quality wise, WrestleMania 39 wins again, and the main event, WrestleMania 39 main event, wins once again. The finish, Micah, I remember you calling me afterwards. It was so controversial. We couldn't do nothing but just laugh because it was. I think we brought it up weeks in advance that Cody is certainly going to win this main event.
Oh, it
And
just
then
made no sense.
yeah, that's what I was at the time. I don't know. Do you still hold that stance?
I think the way they pivoted out of it made it a lot more enjoyable. Obviously, the inclusion of The Rock and the final boss. 40 holds a lot of weight too. The 40 was even an even greater WrestleMania than 39. So I think if that was not the case, then yeah, we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would be a no-brainer. That was the wrong decision. But 40 was so great. Like it was such a big moment to close the show. I think that moment ended up being 10 times bigger than it would have been if he had won it at 39.
And it's kicked off Cody's whole redemption story from that year. He had to go through some adversity, and losing to Roman on the biggest stage of them all, and then him having a whole year to redeem himself. He had some marquee feuds with Brock that year, and who else did he feud with? He feuded with a couple guys that year. And yeah, man, the whole story, the finishing his story at the next WrestleMania, it was some good stuff. And WrestleMania 39 is gonna beat WrestleMania 21 in this round.
That's a tough one. I do think it's worth mentioning that somehow both of these are the WrestleMania Goes Hollywood, so I think it's hilarious that they ended up together.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's close. It's definitely close between these two. But I'll save my picks for later because I think we're gonna need a half court heave at the buzzer. So
There you go.
moving on is WrestleMania 39. Next up on the slate, we've got the second seeded WrestleMania 19 versus the seventh seeded WrestleMania 20.
Man, star power wise, I don't think it's any bigger than WrestleMania 19. Matt Hardy, Rey Mysterio, Triple H, Booker T, Eddie, Kurt, Jericho, Shawn, Trish, Hogan, McMahon, Brock, Rock, Steve Austin, Micah. Does it get any bigger?
No, no, not at
I'm
all.
that's I mean, legitimately, that's what, 8 of the top 20 guys of all time.
Yeah, I mean that's like you said earlier about 21. That's a who's who of the last great wrestlers in the past 30 years.
Yeah, and I don't see how you can do any better than WrestleMania 19 as far as star power goes. WrestleMania moments. Oh man, it's tough because WrestleMania 20 was the first WrestleMania I watched on pay-per-view, Micah. But WrestleMania moments, I gotta give the edge to WrestleMania 19. Rock finally pinning Steve Austin with the 3 rock bottoms, and he let Steve have the ring to himself. Emotional post-match, looking back at it. And the botch shooting star press, which was a moment. It happened. It could have killed Brock, but it was a heck of a moment and something that is still being talked about and still being played in video packages. Well, probably not the recent Brock Lesnar news, but yeah, I'm giving the edge to WrestleMania 19 there as well. Match quality wise,
Well, hold on. I just got a quick counterpoint.
What's up?
You wouldn't say that the Benoit moment at the end, winning, Eddie winning, plus Cena wins his first title.
Nah, I can't put that over. I just can't do it, man, because Benoit's name is. We talk about Brock's name being tainted. Chris Benoit, I mean, you can't even mention him in.
Well, I guess that is true.
Yeah, so you'll never ever see that in any video packages ever moving forward. I can see Brock if all this, if the lawsuit gets thrown out or magically goes away. I can see Brock working his way back into the good graces of the company. So yeah, I just think that the WrestleMania moments, you gotta give the edge to WrestleMania 19. And then the other stuff, they had a lot more moments on WrestleMania 19. Roddy Piper finally returning after 10 years away from the company. That
That's
was a big
true.
reveal. Yeah, you had when Jericho, kicked Shawn in the nuts at the end of their WrestleMania match. They had a lot of good moments on WrestleMania 19.
Yeah,
I think this
I'll
holds
give
up.
you that.
Yeah, I think it just holds up better. Uh Match quality wise, Micah. I think it's a runaway too. WrestleMania 19. It Every aspect of WrestleMania 19's card, you had something. If you were a hardcore, street fight, bloody type of fan, then you got something with Vince versus Hogan. If you were a fan of ring mat classics, you got HBK and Jericho. If you got larger than life showdowns, you got that with Rock and Steve Austin. So you just had something for every type of fan. So I'm giving the edge of WrestleMania 19 with that as well. And the main event, I'll give the edge to WrestleMania 20 because the main event of WrestleMania 20 was actually a really good match. The crowd was kind of dead throughout the match, but they got up for when Chris Benoit was, getting offense in, and when he finally made Triple H tap in the middle of the ring in Madison Square Garden. It was a great match, probably the best triple threat match in WrestleMania history. But overall, the winner. Moving on to the next round, WrestleMania 19.
Deserved. I have to agree. 20 is great. Don't get me wrong. I think if Benoit had not done what he did, then it's thought of a little higher. But like you said, there's just an asterisk beside it because that's the last thing. And I talked about last week, the final memory of Mania is so important. And
Yeah,
that being one, it's very emotional, but it's like gut wrenching now. And there's a lot of people that won't even go back and watch Benoit's stuff. But that brings us to the third matchup of the Elite Eight, the 20th seeded WrestleMania 3 versus the 5th seeded WrestleMania 30.
yeah. This is a toss up here. Star power wise, WrestleMania 3 gets the edge just because Harley Race on this card, Micah, JYD's on this card, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man, Andre Hogan. So you had way more star power at WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania moments wise, I'm giving the edge. WrestleMania 30 had a massive amount of huge moments. Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock starting off the show was a huge moment. Yeah, got the crowd hyped up for the rest of the night. Bryan and Triple H having a good match to start the show. Then you had Cesaro lifting up Big Show in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. That was a huge moment. Undertaker streak ending, the one of the most shocking moments in WrestleMania history. And then the end of the show, you had the big celebration with Daniel Bryan finally holding up the 2 world titles and proving that he's not a B plus player. So I'm giving the edge WrestleMania 30 in that category. Match quality wise, I think WrestleMania 30 gets it again. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, I just said, had one of the best openings of all time. And I mean, comparing it to WrestleMania 3, match quality wise, probably not fair because the matches worked for the time. But Micah, I mean, WrestleMania 3 had Hillbilly Jim versus Hillbilly Jim with Little Beaver, the Haiti Kid, defeating King Kong Bundy, Lord Littlebrook, and Little Tokyo by DQ. That was on that card.
Hey, don't you hate on the slop drop, okay? Respect the slop drop.
I was a big fan of Lord Littlebrook, so I don't know. It was tough to decide a winner there, but yeah, match quality wise, I give it a WrestleMania 30. The main event, I'll give it a WrestleMania 3, man. I know I'm gonna get some heat online for that. But is WrestleMania 3 main event with Hogan versus Andre the best match ever? No. But is it the most important ones ever? Yeah. Uh, two larger than life characters at the height of the powers in the main event in a stadium show, which WWE never did for WrestleMania, and it had to succeed. 93,000 sold out, Silver Dome, Micah. Probably the most important matches in wrestling history. If that match never happened, I mean, who knows where wrestling would be right now?
I think it's just so iconic that even as great as the Bryan match was, that match just means a little bit more to wrestling history.
I think it means so much more. If you're telling the story of the WWE, if you're telling the story of pro wrestling, you're gonna include that WrestleMania 3 match. Do you need to include that WrestleMania 30 match, Michael?
No.
I think you can tell the story without it. So I think I'm at a stalemate here. I'm gonna need your expertise. You're gonna have to pick a winner here, Michael. Who gets the edge?
Well, we've got the ball inbounded. They're pressing. I'm gonna go
All right.
right, 2 dribbles. I'm gonna cross over. I'm gonna go left. I'm gonna pull up from half. And for the game-winning shot, I need Kevin Harlan to say, "Is this the dagger?" And I'm gonna throw it up. And I gotta go WrestleMania 3. And I know that's gonna be a crazy thought.
Okay, I'm listening. I wasn't strong enough to do it, man, but I'm interested in your logic here.
So I agree with you. The first one you started with was Star Power, correct?
Yeah, star power.
WrestleMania 3, obviously top tier of the greatest wrestlers of the 80s and 70s. You also got some guys that are going to be in the 90s, like Bret Hart's also on that card. We've also got, you mentioned match quality. I will give that one to 30, 100%. The main event, Hogan Andre, not the greatest, but it's more important. So right now we got WrestleMania 3 up by 2. The one I disagree with you on is moments. I think that even as great as Bryan winning is, the Hogan Andre, it is the moment of the 80s. And it's almost the moment of the WWF up until probably...
It still plays in video packages.
Yeah.
The start of the show it did for a long time. The Hogan slamming Andre was part of the signature to start the show.
And there's still other, like, even the little rings that they came out on. That's a WrestleMania like thing that's kind of ingrained in wrestling fans' minds. You've also got the Macho Man Steamboat match. And I just feel like with the moments for 30, you've got kind of nostalgia at the beginning, which is fine, but then you've got Bryan winning, obviously, and I just don't feel like anything other than that even is in the same airspace as Hogan Andre.
What Taker losing the streak was a big deal. That was a big moment.
It was a big moment. I think it's hard to say this and make it make sense. WrestleMania 30 has more big moments, but the WrestleMania 3 Hogan slamming Andre moment is so big. Like, it's just insane to try and compare something else to that. And that's like level of stardom.
And the spectacle of it all with Silverdome, 93,000. I mean, it probably wasn't 93,000, but still, it took some massive cojones on Mr. McMahon's part for booking that whole thing in a stadium like that. That was a big gamble. That paid off big time.
Which is crazy. That is now going to be the only double-digit seed we have moving on, WrestleMania 3. But for the final matchup today, WrestleMania 17, the overall 1 seed, versus the 8-seeded WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, the started off Micah Star Power. WrestleMania 17 is gonna get the edge. Jericho, Kane, Big Show, Eddie, Shane, Vince McMahon, Edge, Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Rock, Austin, the Iron Sheik, Micah. Iron Sheik was on that card. Brother Love, Bushwhackers, Jim Cornette, Duke the Dumpster Drose, Earthquake, Gobbledygooker. I'm just naming everybody of the gimmick battle royal now. But still, though, Micah, all the
Those
big
are
names.
legends.
Sergeant Slaughter. Yeah, exactly. Sergeant Slaughter was on. Michael Hayes in his last match. He was at that Mania. So WrestleMania 17 legitimately has dozens of Hall of Famers on the card. So Star Power, giving the nod to WrestleMania 17. Moments. This was tough. It was tough right here. This is a tie for me. The first tie we got in the category. Sammy hitting Gunther with that turnbuckle brainbuster was a big moment, ending Gunther's record-breaking IC title run. Night 2, man, had the cash in with Priest, and he cashed in on Drew, and it kicked off pretty much the Drew CM Punk rivalry that night. That was a big moment. Rock coming face to face with the conscience of the WWE after making Cody's life a living hell when Undertaker appeared out of nowhere and saved the day in that WrestleMania Night 2 main event. That was a huge moment too. But when you look across WrestleMania 17, that had some great moments as well. Edge spearing Jeff Hardy off the ladder. You had Linda rising to her feet after she was under a comatose state, and of course in storyline. And she, kicked Vince in the nuts. And then you had probably the moment to end all moments, the moment to cap off the end of the Attitude Era. You had Steve Austin and Vince McMahon sharing a beer at the end of the show, and finally ending the Monday Night Wars. So I couldn't pick a winner here, man. There was so much to happen on both those cards. Match quality. We got another tie, Micah. TLC 2. Great match. McMahon and Shane in a street fight. Probably Vince's best one-on-one match. Rock and Austin in their best of their 3 WrestleMania matches. And then you had Gunther versus Sammy, Rock, Reigns versus Cody and Seth, Roman versus Cody. Those 2 cards, man, they were just so stacked. This is hard to pick a winner. Main event. I got to give the edge to WrestleMania 40. Just because of the bloodline rules, stipulation, all the run-ins, a fun main event. They had a good match. Maybe not as good as the match they had last year, but it just had all the bells and whistles, and had the storybook ending with Cody finally finishing his story. So I'm giving it to you once again, Micah. We just called timeout, and we're drawing up the play, and now you're inbounding the ball again. Which one wins? I don't know.
I was really hoping this is not the one that you were gonna make me do the tiebreaker on.
No, this is you. This is all you, man. I cannot pick a winner, man. It's just so hard.
So obviously, Star Power WrestleMania 17. I completely agree with you there. Main event, I agree with you as well. And for the reason that I agree with you, I'm gonna have to tie that into my reason for moments. I'm gonna give that one to 40 as well.
Wow.
Because the Rock Austin finish, while it is iconic, it's almost a little iconic for the wrong reasons. Not a lot of people loved that finish at the time, but overall, I mean, there's still a stellar card. Like, you've got, like you said, the Dudleys, all that, Linda. Like, there's still tons of moments, but 40 again leaves that final that last taste in your mouth was so sweet of what WrestleMania 40 was. I think I have to give the nod there. Match quality is tough.
Yeah, and who do you go with? I mean, they had a lot of great matches on both.
But Ryan, this time we're in a half court situation. Okay, I'm gonna come up. I'm on the right wing. I'm gonna run down to the post, They got me 2 screens. I'm running through the middle. I'm popping out like Steph Curry. I've got the ball. I'm wide open. The guy inbound of the ball is going to try and step over. He can't guard me. Point the camera over there to that guy. I take his ankles every day. But when the shot goes up, Ryan, I've got to go WrestleMania 17. It's so difficult to not let 40 keep going.
Yeah.
But
I kind of agree. Yeah.
But 17 is just like the be all end all of WrestleMania and what people think of as WrestleMania.
And it was we talk about WrestleMania 40 being like a season finale or series finale. Bro, WrestleMania 17 was the series finale of the Attitude Era. One of the best, probably the best eras of wrestling ever. And it capped off with the 2 biggest rivals, Austin and McMahon. You know, the 2 people that they kind of steered the ship into the right direction. They cap it off with them sharing a beer at the end of the show. I mean, you can't get any more poetic than that.
I agree with you there. I feel like it's such an iconic era in wrestling, a historic era, and this would be fun to revisit later down the line. I have a feeling that this is probably going to be, sometimes in the NBA finals or in the NBA playoffs, you'll have like the Western Conference Finals, and you're like, man, this is really the best 2 teams. And then you get to the finals, and the other team wins 4-1.
Yeah.
But like you feel like these were the 2 best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that. Like, I get why. And if you haven't listened to the other episodes, I got these rankings off Cage Match. I get why 19 is number 2. But 40 at 8 is absurd to me.
Yeah.
30 is number 5. And
wow,
40 is better than 30. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's blowing out 30.
I would even... WrestleMania 21 was the 3 seed. And I would probably put 40 over it as well.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of them things.
2 juggernaut teams facing each other in the conference finals.
So that is it. So next week we've got on the slate, the final 4 is going to be WrestleMania 17 versus WrestleMania 3. And then we've got WrestleMania 19 versus WrestleMania 39.
Wow. Some heavy hitters next week.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to crown the champion next week. But Ryan, speaking of champions, we've got Dynamite before Dynasty, and a former world champion is what we're going to start the Dynamite review off with, because we got MJF and the Hurt Syndicate trying to join up, and I got to know what you think, because personally, I really like the prospect of MJF joining the Hurt Syndicate.
Absolutely, yeah. Very intriguing. I don't know where it's going, but this was MJF's one of his best promos in a while, because it was short, got to the point, didn't drag on, got up in there, got up out of there. Not much else you can hate on in that aspect. I don't know where this is going though, Mike.
I don't either, and I honestly did not expect them to accept him, but because they're both heel groups, I was like, what's going to be the angle here? And I'm still not 100% sure. Maybe it's a power struggle, but we both know in watching AEW the past couple years, to me, MJF's best work has always been when he has a group with him.
He just wants friends, Micah. That's all he wants.
He does want friends, and unfortunately, MJF at his best is when he has friends. So
yeah, I'd rather MJF join this group than them having like somebody like Ricochet. Or they bring in Cedric.
Yeah,
I'd rather them add in MJF. Honestly.
Now I feel like some people would be pissed because obviously MJF is lacking a
Oh
certain
yeah.
quality that most or that all of the
Ah,
Hurt Syndicate members have had.
you think he should tan a little more? I
No,
don't
that's
think
not what
that's possible. I mean,
I'm about to
he
say.
kind of
Him
got
and
the
Braun
Hulk Hogan
Breaker.
tan. Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, him and Braun the same tan apparently, but I don't. I think it's interesting. I'm not against the prospect that I mentioned earlier, or a couple weeks ago, where we were talking about the 2-man power trip with Shelton and Lashley, which Shelton Benjamin got a big reaction here because it was Minnesota. You know, that's where he used to
Yeah,
wrestle.
yeah. Minnesota legend.
So I don't. I do want MJF to join, but I'm not exactly upset if he doesn't, as long as they make the story good. But I do have to agree with you because in the past couple weeks we have dogged MJF kind of as much as possible, and I thought he was actually very compelling here. Interesting. I was interested to watch how this played out, and for the past half year, maybe even full year of MJF storylines, and I have just been largely uninterested.
Yeah, the fall off is real. I mean, look what they're doing with Adam Cole on this same show. He's feuding
So
with Danny Garcia. I don't even think he was on this show. I think he was on Collision actually. He's
yeah, I
been a
think
Collision mainstay for a while.
good.
Oh,
I say.
okay. All right, Vince.
Hey, you saw that tag match, the Undisputed Kingdom and FTR. Keep them down there in Collision too. Um, I did want to bring up the aftermath with Big Bill and Brian Keith because you were
Oh man,
a big fan of this.
because you did not watch this, Mike. I had to tell you, turn around and watch this. Watch the rest of this segment, please, because MVP looked visibly angry that Brian Keith and Big Bill was out there, and he let him know. Big Bill could not even get a word out, and MVP was just coming back with like quick barbs, quick,
Oh yeah.
quick witted. It was a sight to see. I think he's really pissed that he's having to work with Jericho's flunkies. I don't know.
Well, I kind of got that feeling, which I mean, you texted that to me, but at the same time, the very final thing that he says to them is, you can contend for our belt when you actually win a match. So right there, it's like, man, like he already cut their nuts off before that, but like now they really have no leg to stand on. Uh Obviously
I
there's
was dying,
history between.
bro. I was dying when Big Bill said, "I don't see no challengers," and MVP just came back quick and said, "I don't see any either." And
I think MVP is probably, and the Hurt Syndicate are probably the most interesting thing in AEW right now because they feel disconnected from everything else, but not in the same way that like the Death Riders do, but in more of a like I can take them seriously, like this is really them.
does it seem like a lot of guys are like this on the show? Like Kenny Omega doesn't seem like he's even on the same show at times.
Oh yeah, it's always seemed that way. Just like even Swerve kind of talked about that in his promo with Moxley. He was like, "I've been asked since October what I've thought about the Death Riders." By who? Because I don't remember. Like he hasn't mentioned them. Osprey hasn't mentioned them.
Well, didn't they have like a big tag match on pay per view? Wasn't he involved?
If
I
they
don't.
if they did, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I think Darby was there. I don't know.
But yeah, MVP is probably the best guy that they have on the mic in the company. I don't think that's a crazy statement to say because this was a
Man,
total evisceration of Brian Keith and Big Bill, and now I'm not even interested to see what happens with this. Because remember, a couple weeks ago, the Guns came out, and that was a really good segment because they also had some like they had some
yeah,
quick stuff to throw right back at them. And I think
MVP.
MVP is just kind of exposing the guys that aren't on the Hurt Syndicate's level.
Yeah, he just steamrolled. Like Keith. I don't think he said anything after the first couple lines.
No, he didn't. And the best part, I don't know if you heard this, but Big Bill said something about like, I never lost my title and Sting ran off with it because he pinned my tag partner. And then off camera, you just heard one, and off the mic, you heard one of them say, "We do not care."
Was Britt Baker out there? I don't.
Oh man,
I don't know. Whatever happened to her?
Milk cartons, Exile,
Okay.
Guantanamo Bay.
Guantanamo Bay. I don't listen to you. Yeah. Are you interested in this tag match? Is that going to be added to the Dynasty card?
Probably, but I'm excited to see Bobby. I'm not so much excited to see them. But speaking of the Dynasty card, Ryan, what I'm assuming will be our main event for the AEW World Championship, Swerve and Jon Moxley had a promo later on in the show, and Swerve started it off. Mox, no pop when he came out. I gotta admit here, I'm 10 times more interested in this than I was the Moxley Cope stuff. But I do kind of feel like, and I felt like this with some of the decisions the AEW has made recently, like with Tony Storm, if Swerve gets the belt again at Dynasty, and I want him to, doesn't it kind of feel like the past year was meaningless?
Well, maybe Darby going to climb Mount Everest put them behind in their plans. I don't know. I don't think Swerve takes the title off Moxley personally. I don't see it happening.
I mean, I could be swayed either way because apparently that's the rumor, is they're waiting for Darby. But I'm so sick of seeing Moxley with the belt that I want Swerve to win.
Wait, hold up now, pal. He hasn't had the belt in 4 months. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, he just has the briefcase, which is
there you go.
Dumbest idea in the world.
Well, nobody deserves to see it until they prove themselves, I guess. I don't know.
So they make themselves a neo-Nazi.
No. Okay.
I do, and I figured you were going to bring this up as well. Swerve, he did get a little
loving his lines
here.
Yep.
Yeah. And it didn't really make sense. And one of the crowd, somebody in the crowd was like, "What?" And it wasn't even like a Stone Cold chant. It was just, they were genuinely lost.
Because everybody in the crowd was like in a comatose state. Like, do you notice that? Your man Swerve can't get no reactions unless Nana is yelling to the audience, Swerve House. That's the only way he's going to get a reaction. He just looks so uncomfortable out there. He looks lost at times. He doesn't sound convincing on the mic. I just don't see how you don't see this.
They got fired up for him.
They like his chant, Swerve's House. And then it was quiet the rest of the time. Swerve House. They just say that, man, because they love to chant along to stuff.
I don't think this was the best showing for Swerve, and this right here is about to be a big. This is about to be a big statement for me because if you've ever stuck around long enough, you know that I have real disdain for Moxley, not as a person, but just as a character. But I thought he did better here. I thought he looked better than Swerve.
Anybody could have. I could have went out there. Man, Nana, why does he not talk to Swerve? Does Swerve think he's some Dynamite promo? I'm not getting this. Help me understand, Mike. What is Nana out there for exactly?
The coffee?
He doesn't do anything as a manager. The coffee, come on now. But he doesn't do anything as a manager, and he doesn't talk for Swerve. So what is he there for? Just to dance around, have people laugh at him? This is a humiliation ritual?
Swerve's also not
good.
It's not what I was gonna say. He's also not a heel, so it's hard to have a babyface have a manager.
And he claims to be the most dangerous man in AEW when he literally got shot up with drugs and got his head caved in by Hangman Page on the show. And he got his house burned down. How's he the most dangerous man? I feel like Hangman's more dangerous.
Yeah. And I felt like we escalated things when you get to burning houses down. I don't think like winning a wrestling match.
Arson's a step too far.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think a wrestling match is settled. My like hatred for somebody if they burned my house down.
If they do pivot, Micah, or if this was the plan all along, I don't know, have Swerve take the title off Moxley. Do you see the main event of All In? Because that's the one in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Or Arlington. Do you see the main event being Swerve versus Hangman?
No. I was gonna say that I thought it was gonna be Swerve and Ospreay too.
But Hangman and Swerve are still having backstage confrontations almost weekly on this show at this point. You think there's some, planting the seeds there? Or do you think it is building to Ospreay and Swerve?
I mean, I could see that because I do remember them having a thing in the bag, but I just didn't. I don't want to see it again, especially because, I mean, it wasn't exactly that long ago since we saw it.
And they already shot each other with drugs and burned each other's houses down. I don't see how you can go any further than that.
I don't really think you can. And that was kind of my point with the like at that point, I mean, you just at some point you just got to kill the guy. Like honestly, like mean,
okay.
I mean, like you go burn somebody's house down. I think we're past a wrestling match.
Okay.
Slash his tires, blow his car up,
kidnap his family.
Well, wait, was it Swerve that threw a T-shirt on his baby's face?
Oh, how many kids Swerve got? How many kids can Hangman snatch up?
Yeah. One other thing about Moxley, he had a couple lines here about the new generation and this sport is ran by billionaires. And I think that's kind of ironic because obviously he's working for one, but
yeah,
I think if his gimmick was more this in a clear tone and not like just going all over the place to really get to no point. If it was more streamlined into like this new generation isn't ready for like to carry the torch for AEW and I am. And I know some of his promos have been that, but just there's been so many that don't make sense, and the kidnappings and the random Rock and Roll Express inclusion and the rated FTR stuff. I think it's just gotten muddled.
Bagging somebody's head. Yeah, they've done a lot.
So that stuff I could do less of. The stuff that he talked about in this promo, I'm interested in. Like, this could be good. Why did we not get this? And instead we've gotten garbage. I don't know.
The end of the segment was very confusing too.
Yes.
Did you stay for the whole thing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And the Marina Willow stuff almost looked like a shoot. Like, it almost looked like they got genuinely pissed at each other, but not in like a good way. And then they started the music and they stopped the music. Then they started the music again. It was just all over the place.
And then Marina got picked up by like Claudio, but then Willow went back for more. And she threw terrible looking strikes.
And she threw Nana down.
Oh yeah, they did go to the ground. It's the most physical Nana's gotten his whole time.
That's what I was about to say, his entire career. Did it kind of feel like to you that Moxley was cutting kind of a like baby face angle promo here? Because Swerve is the dangerous man in AEW, but Moxley was like, you're not ready for this. Like, you're not ready for what it means to be a champion, which is kind of odd because Swerve was world champion. But it kind of seemed like
No. Well, I mean, he was world champ, but do you remember that reign?
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed his match with Osprey at the same time, but it kind of reminded me in a way different like font than when Punk and Cody had that back and forth about like what it means to be a champion and that being a champion eats at you. But see, and Punk was the baby face in that promo. Cody was, more heel at the time. So I kind of felt like that was a odd angle to take since Moxley's this despicable heel, and Swerve is a babyface, but he's the most dangerous man in AEW. I just there's a lot of different elements in this.
Well, anybody feuding against Swerve is gonna be a babyface, in my opinion, Micah. But yeah, I get what you're saying here. It did kind of feel like Moxley was being more babyface, and Swerve was leaning to the heel tendencies. And then he hit him with his old line. I don't know. Well, I know because we talked about this before on the show, Micah. You weren't watching SmackDown Live back in 2016, but Moxley, then Ambrose, had a feud with Cena at the time, and in one of his promos against Cena, he ended it by saying, "Have fun playing John Cena on TV." And Swerve, of course, they gotta get their WWE reference in, said to Moxley in this promo, "Have fun playing John Moxley on TV." So I don't know if you caught that, Mike.
No, I didn't. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He actually got some good jabs in on Cena, that rivalry they had on SmackDown Live. He held his own.
Well, I
But
mean,
Swerve did not hold his own.
you just a hater. All you do is hate. You just a hater.
I do. I'm Team Booker.
Team Booker. Oh God. Well, let's pivot before we get shut down here. This past week, Friday Night SmackDown, we had Roman, Seth, and Punk in the ring for the contract signing. Before we say anything here, just to any of our fans across the pond, the ye old Atlantic Ocean, I am so sorry, but I don't ever want y'all to get a WrestleMania season or any extended run of television shows. The promos are almost unbearable because y'all love karaoke night, apparently. I at karaoke bars over there do multi-million-dollars because it's Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, and it takes up at least 10 minutes of a promo.
At times, it seems like they're trying to get themselves over. Like, let the guys talk. I can understand, cheering at big moments, big lines. But please don't do a what chant, but let the guys talk, man. Jeez Louise. Let the guys have a regular old contract. Instead, it had to go 25 minutes when everything could have been said in 15, but they had to stop in between every other line to let the crowd sing some songs.
Yes, I'm fine with like guys getting their name chanted. That is part of it. Like it's a crowd interactive show. But it works for pay-per-views because they can go crazy, and like when they had the backlash in Puerto Rico and the backlash in France, like those were great because it was just wrestling. There's not promos. But it makes promos take so much longer, and when you're on the road to WrestleMania, this is the stuff that we've been looking for. And this segment was great. This right here, this was the first bite of the meal we were getting this week in wrestling, or the week for us. But this was great. But like you said, it could have been like 15 minutes if they just would shut up.
Yeah.
However, and it kind of, I don't even know exactly where I was going with that. Let me just say this. We've talked about that this match is not exactly the most intriguing on paper, but I do think it's funny because I think Roman and Punk would be a great match. I think
Yeah.
Roman and Seth would be a great match. And I think Punk and Seth would be a great match. But I feel like the money is really with Punk and Roman. And so when Roman just cut down Seth and he was like, this is all here because of me. Like, you ain't done anything. And I was like, he's actually got a point.
Yeah, he does have a point. Roman was great here, man.
Oh, yeah. He just kind of felt like a big troll. And I mean, the big old veneers were shining and they were going back and forth. But
it felt natural out there, too. Like, he was ripping on the fly, man. I enjoyed Roman here. Seth, he played his role here with the facial expressions he had, but some of the stuff didn't make much sense. Like him being upset that Punk is main event. Bro, you're main event too.
Well,
I don't
not
understand
only
how
that,
you're so upset about it.
He was like the pinnacle of the thing that means most to me is main eventing WrestleMania. Buddy, you've main evented WrestleMania twice, and one of them was only because you cashed in.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Did you see Roman's reaction when Punk called him the big dog?
Oh, yeah.
Like that triggers something inside him.
I love too that Punk was like hesitant. He was like, the big dog? That's what I think the money would be with Punk and Roman. There's such a great story to tell there.
With Heyman too.
Yes, and I don't think Seth is needed, but the segment was great. But yeah, like imagine if it was like Roman and Punk for the Council of Paul Heyman.
Yeah, or Heyman as a special guest referee, and he having to make a decision in the match.
That would be great.
Stuff, yeah.
See, just Seth, you remember that injury you got around WrestleMania season last year? Just have that happen again. No, I'm just playing. In all seriousness, I don't want Seth to get hurt.
I think AEW needs some stuff. When is his contract up? I'm just asking. When's his contract up? We know?
I don't. Well, see, they've already got Becky Lynch over there. Well, Jamie Hayter.
You know, sources tell me his contract's up soon. Sources tell me.
Oh, okay. The sources are speaking.
Yeah.
Quiet at the table, kids. The sources are speaking. But I really was I was moved by the emotion on Punk's face. I don't know if they told him before, but
they had to. They had to because the ending you remember how the segment ended, right? That's not the favor. So apparently, he had to been told he's just a great actor or great storyteller. So I'm sure it felt like in the moment that he was getting the news for the first time, but I'm sure he was told the back.
And maybe like you said, Punk is just that great of an actor. And maybe the emotion really did come over him just in that moment. You know what I mean? Because I could also buy that with all the adulation of the people right there. But
and the history between Heyman and Punk too, it had to mean a lot to both guys.
Yeah, and for Heyman to be the one to announce it, all them years ago, that was his guy in OVW.
Went to bat for him. Punk would have lost his job, wasn't for Heyman.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, Punk's greatest run is with Heyman. So all that dynamic going into this was a great segment that I was like, finally, this is what we've needed. It aggravates me because Roman is so good that it pisses me off that he's not there at the TV more, especially during Mania season. But SmackDown's in Chicago this week, so I'm expecting another big segment from these three, because if we can get 20 minutes of just straight up mic time from these guys, just one after another back and forth, that could be an all-timer.
What is the favor, though, Mike? What could possibly be the favor? Because they kind of swerved us here. We thought the favor was going to be promises of the WrestleMania main event, but then the little credits started to roll at the end of SmackDown, and then Punk out of nowhere said, "That's not the favor, though." And then we went for another 3 minutes after that. I thought that was great stuff too.
Yeah.
So, what is the favor, Micah? What would be something big that they can do for them? Because it has to be something big now, right?
I feel like
It
it
can't
does.
just be. It can't just be Heyman leads Punk to the ring at WrestleMania. It has to be more than that, right?
Yeah, and I thought they were going to use that here, but I've got a theory.
Oh,
Let's say, for example, John Cena the belt from Cody.
okay.
Punk uses his favor for Roman and Paul to talk the final boss into making John Cena come home to WWE, because he's talked about to Cody, well, I'm gonna take this belt home. I'm gonna be gone. The last real WWE champion will be me. And then we get the favor. The final boss goads Cena to coming back for SummerSlam, and then we get Punk and Cena at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship.
Okay. All right. But if they can make that make sense, then yeah, I'm all for it. But dang, you're gonna have to jump through some hoops to try to make that make sense.
Well,
Like why would the final boss listen to Heyman?
because he's the counsel to the tribal chief, and The Rock and Roman still, mano y mano. They're still he acknowledged Roman last year as the tribal chief.
He did, yeah. I guess you got a point. I don't know. Look, do they even know? What if his loser has to eat dog food?
Oh,
They did bring up
God.
the big dog. I mean, that was a step in the past.
It could work. Punk would make it work.
Hey, now, before we move on, man, how bad do you gotta feel if you're a Jey Uso fan? you thinking your guy's gonna main event night one of WrestleMania, get that big baby face win to end the show, now all of a sudden 3 bigger stars come along and they take your main event from you.
Well, that was a lot of the discourse this weekend. I knew it was going to come up.
Opening event Jey Uso.
I don't think it has
the
the
card. Jey Uso.
only here because of who he's related to, Jey Uso.
Oh, come on.
No, I think that Jey, and we'll talk. He had a great segment on Raw. I think the fans are still with him. It's just you've got 2 generational stars in Punk and Roman.
You hate Seth, huh?
Look, man, is it ridiculous to say that Seth ain't on Punk and Roman's level?
I wouldn't, but a lot of people online would disagree. Go ahead. I don't mean.
Man, maybe does Seth have both his knees anymore? Okay, maybe then we can talk.
Even when he had those knees, man, he wasn't cutting no great promos like those guys. So
I used to love Seth, like genuinely. The Architect, like he was my favorite. But dude, this freaking, no pun intended, bull crap that he's doing it has ruined him. So it's just hard for Jey to be in that same caliber, and even as great as Gunther is, will Gunther eventually be on the level of a Roman Reigns or a CM Punk in star power? Like I don't know. That's a hard bar to jump over.
I don't think so. He's already almost late 30s. I don't think so. But he's really good. He's great.
Oh, 100%. But I say all that to say this. I still don't think this should have main evented. I still think that it should have been Jey.
Wow. Why is that?
One, you've got the precedent of the men's Royal Rumble winner always main events.
Okay, come on now. Hold up. Time out.
Well,
go. I feel like I should step in here, Mike.
Okay, go ahead.
That's not. I don't. I mean, yeah, it's true for the last couple years, but there's been plenty of times where that isn't the case. I mean, that isn't all. Just because you win the Rumble doesn't mean you necessarily get the main event. Remember when Alberto Del Rio won the Royal Rumble and did he main event? No, he was the opening match on WrestleMania 27. WrestleMania 28, Sheamus. He was the Royal Rumble winner that year. He was the opening match of WrestleMania 28. So I don't necessarily think that just because you win the Rumble doesn't mean you have to main event WrestleMania.
Okay, well, okay, you got me there. I guess I'm going off past years' history since I've like come back and started watching. It's usually been the main event.
Yeah.
But on my counterpoint, it kind of feels like a cop out because Punk was like, I'm gonna win the Rumble and main event, and then he didn't. And then he was like, I'm gonna win the Elimination Chamber and main event, and then he didn't. And so now it's like, oh, you're just shoehorned into a main event. And I get it. Like I said, these are two generational stars and Seth. And
yeah.
and that like deserves a big spotlight. But it kind of feels like Punk still got everything, even though he lost both matches.
That is true. I'll give you that. That does kind of cheapen his story now. That he did most of his promos, him coming back, he was saying his dream is the main event WrestleMania, and that's only gonna happen if he does wins the Rumble, and he didn't. And then he said, "Oh, I can only do it if I win the Chamber." He didn't, and then he ends up main event anyway. That is kind of okay. Why'd you even bring it up, pal?
Yeah, that's my biggest point on why I am a fan, but I'm not at the same time. But I mean, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, and Roman is going into his 10th WrestleMania main event. Yeah, I didn't stutter, Micah. 10th WrestleMania main event.
That is crazy.
How insane is that?
Which again, WrestleMania. Look at him. Look at Seth.
And so John Moxley over there somewhere.
Oh man. Plus, another thing too, they could have ran that angle next year with the Royal Rumble and Chamber with Punk.
Oh, no way. Man, you know what Rumble is next year?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the year after.
Well, never mind. Maybe it makes sense why they didn't do it. But still, I think the prospect of that was still interesting to leave out in the open because they could have ran an angle with it later. Just kind of cop it out in this, I don't agree with, but I'm happy nonetheless. Anyways, we've got the main event of WrestleMania to start off Monday Night Raw, which is the last show we're going to talk about on our show. John Cena, Cody Rhodes, finally face-to-face on Raw, and they're going to cut a promo on each other. This segment as a whole is what we've been needing. This has been what we've been clamoring for weeks, and they finally delivered.
Yeah, they did. They did. Cena didn't hold back. Cody didn't hold back. Some great back and forth here. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Micah. Say this is the best promo exchange we've had all year in either company.
Kid you not, I wrote the same exact thing.
Stop it. Come on now. Look at my notes. What are you doing?
A little cheating. Never hurt nobody.
Okay. All right.
I do have to bring up that the one-liners here, man. The one-ups were just so good. Cody, saying, well, you're only here because of the guy that was here, and now we can't even say his name anymore. That's always going to get a reaction out of the fans. That was a big pop.
And Cena hit him right back with, I've made empires for billionaires, and all you've ever done is steal money from their kids. That was so Tony Khan and Vince McMahon reference on Monday Night Raw.
Oh yeah, and that one gutted Tony all the way in Jacksonville.
Oh man, you think he was watching?
I'm sure he heard about it.
Cena didn't hold. Man, I don't bury talent. I bury mediocrity. Wade buried on commentary too. I'm sure.
Poor Wade Barrett over there. He's doing the Drewski clip. He's like, me? What do you say me for? You know, I don't really like the insider stuff most of the time. Cena's kind of leaned into that with his gimmick now.
He has. Actually, I think it's gone on further back than people realize, man. He's been doing this for like 2013, 2014. I feel like CM Punk, that whole rivalry with Punk, I think it broke something in him, man. He loves to bring up the insider stuff, but a lot of times he makes it work. Here, I think he made it work. Cody brought up some insider stuff as well he was actually spitting straight facts when saying that Cena drove away a generation of fans. That's straight facts, man. I know these young kids online like to say that Cena's the greatest of all time, but Cena legitimately drove away droves of fans, such as myself and people like you, Micah. There were a lot of people that were sick of Super Cena.
People like you. Nah, I mean 100%. Him and Brock Lesnar, those two right there were just like I really did not want to watch wrestling anymore. Roman didn't exactly help because he was also just shoved down our throats.
Big dog.
Yeah, the big dog. That whole thing, and it really does tie into Cody's rise. And I thought that was great that they did bring that up because that was the point of AEW. There was a lot of disenfranchised fans from WWE, and a lot of that was Vince and his, chaotic booking style in the later half of the 2010s. But Cena is the flag bearer for that era, and that is why Cody's WWE champion. Like, Cody is not WWE champion right now, if not for AEW. So I'm glad that they, bit the bullet and took a sense of realism into this promo and didn't like try and shy away from that. They just leaned right into it.
Yeah. So, Micah, back in the day, you going to high school and two of your classmates get into a fight. Everybody want to know who won. So, in your opinion, who won this back and forth exchange here? Cena or Cody?
No debate. Cena. I watched the promo with Hannah last night, and she was kind of like, oh man, at some of the stuff that they said, but the big one was, you said it earlier, I make empires for billionaires, you just steal money from their kids. I was like, man, that is a haymaker. Great line. Now, one of the guys that I talked with at work, he's a big Cena fan, and obviously he thought Cena won, but he was like, I thought it was kind of odd that after everything that was said, the thing that made Cena turn around and flip out was, you can't wrestle. Like, that was what really got under his skin.
Well, that was a lot of people chanted that in the mid 2000s, man. I know there's a lot of young fans out there don't remember that, but yeah, that was a long time chant when it came towards the Cena. But I think Cena turned a lot of fans during this promo. There was points in this promo where Cena was getting a lot of cheers and Cody was getting some boos.
Oh yeah.
So are we Las Vegas, Micah? Are we running the risk of having Cena being cheered over the top babyface in the company, Cody Rhodes?
Well, see, Vegas is also very much a tourist crowd. It's not, which WrestleMania always is, but WrestleMania plus Vegas, it's going to be a melting pot. It's not going to be like, Chicago, where they love certain people. I'm not out on the idea that we don't get the rare double turn.
Oh, what? You think that's a possibility here? After Cena just buried the fans.
Maybe not intentionally, but I'm saying I could see at Mania like they did for Rock and Hogan. Cena goes in the heel, But by the end, they're cheering for Cena, and Cody's getting booed because they don't want to see him win.
I can see that. I mean, Cena, he brought up that Cody is way too rehearsed, which I've said on this podcast before. I don't know if Cena's listened to the podcast, but he's saying that you're too clean, you're too nice, you're too rehearsed. Seems like you're taking acting classes, which I mean, we've been saying that for a long time here. So, a lot of fans were sick of Cody in the AEW run towards the end. I'm starting to get flashbacks here of late stage AEW Cody Rhodes, and I can see it hitting a all-time breaking point at WrestleMania. You call WrestleMania in Vegas, oh, it's gonna be a lot of tourists. I disagree. These are the most hardcore of hardcore fans. And what do hardcore fans love to do? They love to cheer the heel, Micah. Who's the heel here? Who's the cool heel?
That's true.
It's John Cena. I can see it. What you brought up, I can see it. The accidental double turn.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about it intentionally. I'm just talking about and then the next night on Raw, they would cheer Cody. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying in that moment, I think people want to see Cena win the belt.
So what do you do if you got the pencil, Micah? How do you combat that? Can you combat that without changing Cody's whole gimmick or character?
I don't think you can. I just think if the fans decide that night, April 20th, WrestleMania, they want Cena as champ, just like they did at, the Toronto
18.
Skydome, 18. I think you just got to swerve into it. And I would not be surprised at all if that was what happened. And personally, I'm rooting for Cena. I'm sick of the politician.
Okay, I'm with you. Let's do it. I hate Cena, but in this moment, well, I don't hate Cena. Let me stop that. I don't like Cena at times when he gets goofy and makes the facial expression, but he's been cutting some good promos last couple weeks, but I'm getting off on a tangent here, Micah. I would want Cena to stand tall at the end of WrestleMania and him celebrating with the final boss.
I think he will too because of how this ended with Cena laying and Cody kind of being the one standing tall at the end.
He laid him out flat with one crossroads.
Yeah, normally it takes like 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's not scheduled for he being Cena. He's not scheduled for any more appearances from now until WrestleMania. So, do we get a surprise appearance? I think we have to, right?
I would hope to God, or at least The Rock or something, which they finally mentioned him in this as well. But
yeah, so are we gonna get something of the equivalent of Rock and Cody in the rain on that right outside Cody's tour bus last year? Are we gonna get something kind of like that going into Mania?
I could see it. I would be a big fan too, and I think there's money obviously in advertising Cena, but in the same way last year with the surprise Rock return, you get eyeballs for the next week because it becomes must see. It becomes I can't miss this. So
they're gonna sell out either way on the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So why not have Cena on the surprise appearance? Or even, man, if Rock showed up next week, did you say they're in Chicago? Are they in Chicago?
They're in Chicago for SmackDown. Now, Raw, I'm not 100% sure on the location, but I can look that up.
But anyways, they're going to be sold out regardless. And if Rock can show up in a surprise appearance or Cena show up beating up Cody, because somebody has to stand tall against Cody going into WrestleMania. It can't just be Cody flattening Cena and then that's it. We'll see you at WrestleMania. It has to be something else.
I would hope. They're in Minneapolis next week.
Okay. All right.
And
wasn't that where Dynamite was?
Yeah. They're in Minneapolis this Monday. They're in Sacramento the next Monday, and then that's the last WrestleMania, or that's the last Raw before WrestleMania. So with them being in Cali too, there is no way that we don't get The Rock or Cena, if not both.
But yeah, great segment all around.
We'll kind of go through some quick hitters next, just because we're running a little long. Gunther and Jay had a top
Oh,
tier
man.
segment. You know, we kind of
Reminded
dogged
me-
on it earlier about not being the main event, but this right here, this negated all the Alpha Academy jobber bullcrap that they've been giving us for the past month. This was some heat.
And we joked about Jimmy getting murdered this week by Gunther, but I feel like they went further right here. He left him in a pool of his own blood and tied up his brother to make his brother watch while he got bloodied and battered in front of him, choked out. This was some good stuff. It reminded me of Randy and Triple H
Yeah.
at that WrestleMania 25 build. Triple H got handcuffed to the top rope, and then Randy proceeded to RKO Stephanie.
And
It reminded me a lot of that.
and it was honestly a little hard to watch. Like, you know, I understand it's all, you know, scripted or whatever, but it's like, dude, Gunther looked insane, and like I genuinely felt bad for Jay. You know what I mean? It
Jay was great here.
Yes, there was so much emotion that he had. Gunther genuinely looked like insane. He looked like Conquest on Invincible coming out of this. Just insane, like madman.
Yeah.
And another small detail that I loved was when Gunther was actually like zip tying Jay to the ropes, there was an actual struggle. Like, it wasn't, oh, he hit the guy with a big move, let me drag him over here and tie him down. Like, Jay was fighting him to not get zip tied. That, like, added so much realism. That's the kind of stuff that I love because I can't see holes in your logic.
Yeah, Jimmy bled buckets here, too.
Oh, yeah. From one title shot.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's solid gold.
It is. And, well, it's that World Heavyweight Championship, too. You know, a couple rough edges on there.
There you go. There you go.
But, yeah, I mean, a 10 out of 10 segment to heat up a feud that we talked about. It was extremely cold.
It needed that. But, Micah, are we running the risk of shades of WrestleMania 25 here where something is so emotional and then they have to go out there and have a regular wrestling match? Are we going to get that? Because I feel like we can't have a regular wrestling match now.
I think it depends on the follow-up. There's still 2 weeks. I don't think we're quite there yet. But I wouldn't even hate if they added a stipulation. Just because, you know, man, I like Jay as much as the next guy. We know his limits as a wrestler.
Come on.
I think a stipulation would help everybody.
Because they are running the story that Jay is doubting himself and his ability. What if Gunther tries to capitalize on that by challenging Jay to an Iron Man match, Micah? And he can prove all the doubters wrong right there in that Iron Man. It doesn't have to be 60 minutes. We can go 30. You tell me they can't get a good match? 30-minute Iron Man match?
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know. I want to waste 30 minutes on Jey Uso at WrestleMania. We can have a 15-minute match with you get you 10 minutes of Jay's entrance plus the aftermath, 10 minutes. Sure. But 30 for the match? I don't know.
I
think
we can do it.
Let's see what the next 2 weeks hold, and we'll come back to that. We'll see if they add a step.
Do you think Jay needs to beat the heck out of Gunther's stooge? What's his name?
Ludwig.
Ludwig. Yeah. Do you think he needs to bloody Ludwig?
Well, hold on now. What if he hit Ludwig with a car? Shades of his dad.
Hey, now. There you go. Would Gunther even care? I don't think he likes Ludwig.
Probably not. I don't know that he could do anything to make Gunther care, honestly.
Nothing in the world Gunther cares about.
Other than that belt. I mean, they're going back to the States. This would have been the perfect time for a house invasion, but now you pissed it
Oh
away,
man,
Jay.
we should burn down his house.
Oh, there we go. Take a page out of the other book.
There you go. All right.
Well,
I'm in. I'm locked in.
anyways, 2 great segments, really 3 that we've talked about now back to back on the Mania build. They followed that up with the Logan Paul AJ Styles segment. This was a quick hitter. We talked about it off air. Logan gets a lot of hate, but I'm honestly really interested in this Conor McGregor-esque character that he runs now, where it's almost like Conor at the end of his UFC career knew he wasn't going to fight for the title anymore, but he knew that he could sell people on it's going to be a big money fight. And I kind of like that that's what Logan's selling point is like, you want to wrestle me because you want your biggest payday ever, and that's the point. That's the only reason you want to get to me. And I actually really like that because it's different. You've never seen it before in wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. I think Logan gets way too much hate in the internet wrestling community as a whole. A lot of it is bad faith, in my opinion. I mean, yes, I'm sure he's a terrible human being, but you cannot deny his star power, his mic work, his in-ring work, his athletic ability. I mean, Micah, when you look at Logan Paul, he's what you would want in a top guy. I mean, if he could just be here wrestling weekly, he would check all the boxes. But checking 4 out of 5 ain't bad. I don't know.
And not to mention that finisher that he debuted, the pulverizer, that was crazy. And I'm sure AJ made it look really good as well, but it almost like AJ like floated for a minute while Logan like flipped to land kind of with like a face buster. But it was a weird move to watch, but it's innovative, and there's not much left of that in wrestling.
Did he steal that move from Hangman Adam Page?
Oh
Micah?
God. Did he rehearse that move before he did it?
He stole his moveset. You didn't know?
Anyways, I think Logan and AJ, while it's not maybe what I would have booked for WrestleMania, I would have rather had Braun and AJ. I am
Braun Strowman.
No. Mr. Breaker.
Okay. He has the weirdest WrestleMania resume, I might add. AJ Styles. He's wrestled Shane, Jericho, Edge, Taker,
Shinsuke.
And you know what his best match was, Mike? It was against Shane McMahon. How crazy,
man.
No, it's true though.
No, I mean I believe you. He had a pretty good match with LA Knight last year too.
But it wasn't. I thought it was good, but it wasn't as good as him versus Shane.
Oh, well, I don't necessarily doubt that. And I never watched the match. I've always heard him and Shinsuke was kind of a stinker.
Oh, it was. But, I mean, now that we know what we know about Shinsuke, we can kind of lay
Are
the
we
blame
surprised?
on. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, that brings us to the final segment of Monday Night Raw, which is Io versus Rhea for the Women's World Championship, or is it heavyweight? Women's World Heavyweight Championship? Anyways.
I think it's the world champion.
That's right. They're the world champion, and then the other one's just the WWE champion. Not
very confusing.
Plus, they got mid-card titles now. Not the cleanest match. There's a couple bobbles here and there. Oddly enough, I still think that they will have an absolute barn burner at WrestleMania and could very well have the greatest women's match of all time. Maybe it was the long flight. Maybe just it was a bad night. Like, I don't know. The match was a little rough, but the angle at the end I really enjoyed.
We probably got to lay the blame on Rhea, man. She ain't been doing so good since she came back last year.
Do you think she's dealing with something lingering?
Maybe she's getting exposed, man. I don't know. Maybe Maybe her away from Dom is just not working.
I mean,
They protect her too, maybe a little too much.
I've seen a lot of discourse online about the booking of Rhea and her championships on, or her championship reigns, her reign on
And
top,
her promo.
and her promos. I still think she's a star. I think people still want to see her. But I don't remember the last time I've been wowed by one of her matches, now that we bring this up. Now, I'm more than happy to eat crow after we watch WrestleMania and they have the greatest women's match of all time. And I hope they do. But I don't think it's a ridiculous statement to say that Io and Bianca are better than her. And it may not even be a ridiculous statement to say Io is the best women's wrestler in the world right now.
But Rhea cost herself the match, throws a hissy fit, and then she stands tall as the babyface at the end of the night. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, I think in America they may have booed
come on
her.
I don't know about that.
Listen,
I don't
man.
think
The European fans have booed Bianca Belair the entire time that she's been over there, and she is not acting like a heel.
No.
I'll let you do with that information what you're gonna do.
Wait a minute. Hold up now.
But I'm just saying, she was not supposed to be the one booed in this segment.
I don't think that Rhea will get booed in America either, man. Like, she's been protected a lot in her booking for a while now. Even when she was feuding with Liv, she was supposed to be the baby face, but she never seemed to struggle at all. She usually left Liv laying flat multiple times. And the fans still cheered Rhea multiple times. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be a challenge to get Rhea booed. Maybe she needs to start wearing tights again. I don't know. Maybe she needs to cover up a little bit.
I think that I will hold all judgment, and this is for honestly a good portion of the WrestleMania build. I want to see next week in the States. I want to see what their reaction is. I want to see just a different. What's the word I'm looking for?
Take us back to God's country.
Oh God, no, that is not what I said. But I just think that I want to see a different opinion and see what the people. Side. That was the word I was trying to think.
How many sides you want to see a Rhea?
That's again not what I was saying.
What are we saying here?
I don't know what I'm saying. Regardless, I just want to see next week before I base my opinion on how people are feeling Rhea right now. I'm really wording this horribly.
Hold up now. I think everybody wants to feel Rhea. That's why they cheer.
Well, you're probably not wrong there. What do you always say about Tiffany? The gimmicks, pal.
Yes, the gimmick.
I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I still think the match will be very good. As far as Rhea coming out of WrestleMania, I don't really know where she goes if she's not a heel. She's been a babyface for a while. Kind of the same with Bianca, but she's kind of been reinvigorated since all this happened with Jade and Naomi. So I think she's still got a couple miles left on the babyface run. But I think people have been wanting to see Rhea heel since the Liv feud, and they felt like she was out of gas then. So even now, what's left after Mania?
Hopefully less Super Cena booking after WrestleMania. Do you think we get a traditional triple threat here? Or do you think we go the WrestleMania 10 route where Io faces both Bianca and Rhea in the same night? Can you see that happening?
That would be...
Or like Rhea faces Io night 1, and then the winner of that faces Bianca night 2?
That would be kind of cool because it's not something we've necessarily seen before in the women's division. But I don't know. I think the prospect of a triple threat is very intriguing. At the same time, we're starting to run into a WrestleMania 2000 trope. Yeah. So, I don't know. I could see that. That's what I'm saying. There's still a lot in this feud to play out. So we'll see what happens going into next week. And I still don't even know who I would pick to win.
I feel like you have to go with Io because she's been left laying. She has not gotten any upper hand on anybody throughout this whole feud.
Yeah. I think the only surefire person I wouldn't pick would be Rhea.
And then yet, Rhea goes over, brother.
Yeah, that'll be what happens. Well, we've ran a little long. There was a lot that happened this week. Plus, we still had the WrestleMania bracket to get to. So for Dynasty predictions, check out our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'll put out our predictions there. Just to save time because we did run just a tad long today. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. Make sure to check out all of our platforms. Linktree is in the bio. Like I said, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I've been trying to put all of our content out on there, especially YouTube. That's kind of like entirely revamped. All the podcast episodes are now there. So if you are listening on Spotify or something like that, and YouTube's more accessible, make sure to check that out and subscribe. As always, thank you guys for listening. Take care of yourself over the weekend. We will be back next week. Have a good one.